Hi, I'm James with British Customs. Today we're going to be installing the Shorty Predator Pro on this 2022 Triumph Street Twin. All right, so first thing we're going to do is loosen the muffler clamp using a 10mm socket. You don't have to take it all the way off. You just need to make it loose enough to pull the muffler off. Using a 12mm socket and a wrench, you want to hold the nut in the back here. And loosen. And this bolt you need to take completely out. All right, the next thing we're going to do is remove the foot peg. There's a little ball bearing in here that helps lock it in place. You don't want to lose that. And you don't want to lose the little spring clip here that we're going to pull off now. Okay, to remove this, you just need a small screwdriver. And you want to get inside that little hole there and pluck it out. So when you remove the foot peg, you just want to be careful not to lose the little ball bearing in there. I'm going to push that pin up. Keep your hand underneath there just in case that bearing falls out. And then pull it all out as one. You got your ball bearing there and there's a little spring in there, so you just don't want to lose either one of those. Next we want to remove the foot peg mount and bushing using a 12mm wrench and a 6mm hex head. So while holding up the muffler, you want to pull out this bolt. Then we just turn the muffler a little bit to get this out of the pocket there. And then just slide back. You have to wiggle it a little bit sometimes. That's it. Okay, on the right side of the bike, it's the exact same as the other side, except you have one less point to remove from here. You get your 10mm socket and loosen up that clamp. Okay, so again, we want to remove this and not lose the clip and not lose the ball bearing. And then using our 6mm hex bit, 12mm wrench, give a little twist in and pull it off. On the Street Twin, there's a gasket inside the muffler that meets up with the head pipe right here. You only use that on a stock muffler. You don't need it on British Custom slip-ons. Okay, so next we want to prep our pipe. Before we put it on, we need to pull that top hat bushing out of the rubber bushing and install it into the pipe. And then this top hat's going to go in towards the motorcycle on the inside. Next, we're going to install the muffler clamp. This should be on the bottom, facing outwards from the motorcycle, so you can get to it with the tool, and it looks nice once it's installed. This goes on the outside and slips inside where the passenger mounting bracket installs. Okay, so next we're going to slide this on. Once that's there, that can slide over for now. Okay, so you want to insert your spacer in here and put the passenger bolt to hold it in place. And then get those holes lined up and push it through. One thing you need to make sure you got a locating peg on here so that this ends up in the right orientation to put your pin in, and it doesn't keep it all lopsided if you put it in the wrong way. There's the hole, and here's the pin. It's going to slide over there and lock in. If this isn't sitting flat, you're not in. Okay, you're going to reuse the nut that you took off earlier. Put that on. Your 6mm and your 12mm wrench. Make them nice and tight. Okay, next we're gonna just tighten down to the proper torque spec with our 12mm wrench and our 6mm hex to 24 Newton meters. All right, so then you want to line up your clamp. I like to put them right at the edge there so it looks nice and clean. Gets a good bite on it using a 5mm bit. So you want to make it tight. You don't want to go so tight that you break the clamp, but you do want to have no movement and have this be a good seal here so the exhaust is coming out here and not out here. So now we're going to put the foot peg back in. And make sure your ball and your spring are in place. A little grease will help keep the ball on there. Put your locator in place and pop it on in. Yeah. And it can get tricky sometimes. Once it's in, take your pin, pop it through. Make sure everything is working. Clip in the groove, just pop it in. Make sure it's in place. So that's it for this side. We're gonna go repeat the same thing on the next side. So now we're gonna do the same thing as the other side. Make sure your clamp is oriented correctly. Have your bushing in, top hat to the outside. Locator pin, the correct orientation. Six millimeter hex, 12mm wrench. .24 Newton meters. Make sure it's lined up and looks nice. Make sure the kickstand is working properly, not hitting the pipe anywhere. Okay, before you fire this up, you want to make sure you wipe off any fingerprints or oil, grease, anything that's on these pipes, because it will stain them once they get hot. So we like to use some rubbing alcohol. Make sure it's all clean. And that's it. That's the Shorty Predator Pros installed.